I did it. I have the most pictures, cheese, no cheese, and some cumin and fishes to go together, and then salmon on top. That's my breakfast. Breakfast? You said you had breakfast. That's my brunch.
My name is Farshad. I'm originally from Iran. Been living in Brisbane for nearly 4 years. I'm a sales executive working in a CCTV company, and I'm here to meet up actually some fresh, cool people. Yeah, and my real name is Farshad. So I've got an artistic name, Fred. Just an English name. It's a lot more easier for people to remember. Takes a long
That's the way. Like me, yes. Tell the same. My name is Kai, and then when I came to here, I was like, explain to everyone Kai. So yeah, my name is Eric. Yes. Again.
Introduce yourself. My name is Ali. I'm Ali's pineapple juice.
I just spent about 2 hours ago and let me know about you guys.
How long you been living
I
in
was in
Australia?
Australia about 4 years. Nearly 4 years now.
That would sleep, like some of the men told me that the women that would sleep with them on the first date, many of them did not ask them back out for a date because they actually wanted someone that would not sleep with them on the first date because they wanted a long-term relationship.
Right.
And the women that were sleeping with them on that first date were doing so because they thought that was the way to hook them to have a long-term relationship. So many times people, I think, are doing what they're considering the hookup or sleeping to get that long-term relationship when it was backfiring on them.
You know, so sometimes the first time sex or intercourse, you're right, can lead to such a deep connection. If it isn't just sex, if you really discover you're making love with the soul, there's a oneness we experience when we are deeply hooked up that is out of our body in spirituality, and yet the opposite extreme is true. It's just physical. And so I've learned, I like your statistics because it helps me say that one of the things I've learned that every relationship needs, either before it becomes sexual, or at least even if it started there to get deeper, is to, I like this triangle I learned in one session with the word intimacy at the top. Draw a little triangle, and power in the lower corner and sex in the lower corner. And so if we want to maximize our intimacy, and at this moment I mean non-sexual intimacy, I mean deep spiritual connection, we need in every relationship to try to see what it's like to connect most intimately with no power over or under one another and no sexual expression or even energy. And by doing that, even with my most intimate lover, we have a connection far deeper that fills this triangle with an intimacy, after which, when you add the amazing joy whatever our bodies can experience together, is way beyond sex. It's deep lovemaking, not sex.
The thing is, relationship involves skills. And I think most of us don't get enough education, both as we're growing up, maybe formal education, therapy is certainly an education. Relating is about skills. You know, how do we talk to each other? How do we talk to each other when we're not liking each other? You know, how do we talk to each other when we're feeling vulnerable? How do we let ourselves be vulnerable? So the thing about hookups, I think, is that it doesn't help us learn the skills that we need. And I think for a whole lifetime, we have to be refining the skills of actually relating to human beings.
Because people date within their type all the time. And what happens? They are not happy about it because they're in relationship after relationship that doesn't work. So they're dating the same wrong person over and over again.
A part of our brain that actually selects our mate based on familiarity and recognition. So there's that thing that happens not online necessarily, but when you meet somebody face to face. If that person is too much of a stranger, we tend to walk away. So the chances of meeting somebody that is kind of like the same person that you've been with, or your parents or somebody else you know, is really high.
Doing a coaching session with a 30-year-old woman, and I asked her, she's never been in a relationship, never had a boyfriend, and I said, okay, well, what's important to you? What are some qualities that you're looking for? And the first thing out of her mouth was that she wanted a tall guy, someone 6 foot or over. Right. And like that was literally what she came to mind. You know, she wasn't thinking big picture, and she wasn't thinking about how much goes into having and maintaining a successful relationship. She was looking for, you know, a 6 foot tall guy.
So the wisdom of the panel is that if you've been single and dating for a long time and still haven't found that right person, give some new people a try. So how long does it actually take to get to know someone well enough to know if they have true relationship potential?
When you initially meet somebody, there's all these hot feelings that you have for them, and it can feel like you're in love. But to really get to know someone and have them get to know you takes a while, because we all have our front stage persona and we have the backstage. We want to be with a partner, hopefully, who knows our backstage. And it takes a while to feel that sort of trust that you can be vulnerable with that person.
In Wired for Dating, we talk about that it takes at least a year. And the reason it takes at least a year, dovetailing what you said, Sue, is that in the beginning of a relationship, we're basically on drugs. We're on these endogenous drugs, nature's remedy for all the things we won't be able to do after we're off these drugs. And so we're at our best. We don't have sexual dysfunctions. We don't have problems with somebody's hair or somebody's skin. You know, everything looks great. Throw in a little alcohol. There's no problem with asymmetry. All good. And but that is nature's way of saying mate, right? Procreate. But even when that dies down, and it does die down, there's a period of really getting to know somebody, because in the beginning, we're just projecting. I'm recognizing you, and you reflect back to me things I like about myself, and I reflect to you things that I like about you. Nothing negative, nothing bad. And so that all feels really good, but it's not real. And it takes a while to actually settle in and to start to know who you're dealing with and withdraw those projections. And then also there's this phenomenon of all the things that I loved about you, all the things that I was really attracted to, are also the things that are going to irritate me.
Yes.
And there's a phase of going through that, right? And I want to get away from you. And then there's the first fight. So people not spending the time to do this might be very surprised if they jump into a relationship. I mean, they can do it then, but it would be also better if they spent the time and understood that it takes about a year for pretty much anything. You learn a new job, a year, right? You travel to a new place, you get used to it, a year. So, yeah, pretty good.
I think that for a savvy dater and someone who's very self-aware, though, that they can probably figure out, does this relationship have potential much sooner than a year. And I think it's if they're dating with intent and they're really having deep conversations and developing a level of emotional intimacy early on. And sometimes when couples have a trauma or just something big comes up, someone passes away, or someone needs to move for a job and they're questioning, should I relocate with this person? You're forced to dig deep and you're forced to really look at the relationship, and hopefully then a few months, if not the first month, you are having some of these more emotionally intimate conversations, and you can better evaluate, do I want to be investing my time with this person?
Yes.
I did get engaged on my 1-year anniversary.
You did. You waited a year.
But I also felt, just given what I do for a living, that my husband and I very early on were having some really big conversations about the deep things.
Do you think it's possible, though, within that I can know earlier, that people make wrong decisions?
Yes, because I think they're caught up in that love potion in their mind, and they're not necessarily having the bigger conversations, or they get very attached to that, oh, this is the one, this is the guy. And even after those first few blissful months, if things start going downhill, they feel like they have to prove themselves right, that their gut decision was the right decision. So sometimes they're making it work or trying to make it work, even if it's not the right person for them. So they're still,
Because they don't want to fail.
Because they don't want to fail, and that makes us feel bad. It makes us feel like, how can we trust our judgment again?
We also get attached.
Very easily.
Very easy. Once we get attached, relationships are very sticky. So that's the other factor too.
Yeah, and we need that time. We need to go through that time that we were talking about, Stan, where we're attracted, we get super involved, we're on drugs, and we need to go through that in order to stay with somebody long enough to fall in love, long enough to really be attached.